You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. It is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I have got your Days of Our Lives episode info for today, Wednesday, July 6, 2023. We are in episode 223 of season 58. And as we ended Tuesday, we saw Nicole and Eric and Sloane in a conversation at the hospital, and that's going to pick up again on Wednesday. We also have scenes with Leo Stark and Gwen Rizczech, plus Chad DiMera and Stephanie Johnson, and looks like we're going to see more of Melinda's blind date with guess who? I have a pretty good idea who it is, and we're going to tell you in just a minute, so let's dive in. So, we've got Leo Stark, who's been banging Dimitri von Leuschner behind Gwen Rizczech's back. And those guys are not letting up, even though the wedding is supposed to kick off on Friday. Gwen thinks Dimitri really loves her. Poor thing. She even tells Leo in a scene from this week's promo that Dimitri only has eyes for her. Maybe his eyes are for her, but his hands, mouth, joystick, all that is dedicated fully to Leo lately. But unfortunately, she has bought Dimitri's shtick hook, line, and sinker. Gwen's gearing up for her wedding at the end of this week that's going to go into the week after. And Leo's trying to be very supportive. I have no doubt that he's going to be her best person for the wedding because he's all dressed up in a cute little suit that I've seen photos of. We have wedding photos. We can pop up those for you. But right now, he's not the best person. He's the worst person. I mean, he's terrible. And there's a promo clip that showed Dimitri grabbing Leo's butt as they're heading into the wedding ceremony. So Liam feels really, really guilty about what he's doing to Gwen, but he promised Dimitri that he would keep quiet. But by Thursday, it actually seems Gwen might get an inkling when she finds Dimitri alone with Leo. The question is, will it be in a compromising position? Because then there's other stuff that's coming up about the guy sexting and she sees it. All right, before we dig into the rest of the stuff for Day's episode today, if you haven't, please reach down and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and updates. If you click the bell, you'll get a notification when there's a new video ready for you. All right, so recall on Tuesday that EJ DiMera and Nicole Walker were seeing Dr. Sorensen, and she swabbed his cheek for a DNA test to run a genetic profile to see if their unborn baby is at any risks of any kind of issues or defects that they might need to address in utero. Like if there's sometimes different problems with the heart or, spina bifida, there's actually a lot of stuff that they can do where they can do little microsurgery on a growing baby in the mom's belly. So they kind of hinted at that. So I do wonder if something like that is coming, some kind of medical crisis. So then EJ hung back to try and talk the doctor into telling him the sex of the baby, but she wouldn't. While he was doing that, Nicole ran in to Eric, and Eric and Nicole were making some small talk. And then Sloane walked up and immediately revealed that she and Eric are at the hospital for a prenatal appointment because she's pregnant, and Nicole's jaw drops. So we're going to pick back up with that on Wednesday. EJ's going to join them, and then he's also going to find out that Sloane is pregnant with Eric's child, and EJ's going to be thrilled. Nicole not, but EJ is going to be thrilled because as far as he's concerned, this baby is one more barrier to keep Eric from being a threat to EJ's relationship with Nicole. So as they are talking, Sloane is going to hear that they had this genetic test, that this swab done to get this testing. And she is going to freak out with good reason. She's very worried that her DNA test fraud is going to be exposed. And there's a scene in this week's Day's promo with Eric absolutely chewing her out. He's just yelling at her in a rage for lying and keeping this from him. And I will tell you that I don't think that that is a real scene that's happening this week. This is just my feeling. And I think that it is not time for this reveal at all. I think this is some kind of bad daydream or nightmare that Sloane is going to have, but Eric's not going to find out for a while, which she did. But they kept showing that little Q-tip swab thing with EJ's DNA on it. And the doctor that they saw isn't a regular doctor at the hospital. He flew her in. So Sloan and Eric may be in that same exam room. And, a lot of times they just kind of pile up the lab test stuff and just kind of leave it sitting. And then at like the end of the day, they take it to the lab. So that little envelope with EJ's supposed, right now with EJ's DNA in it, might be sitting there. And if Sloan can, maybe she'll get a hold of it and do something else. I don't know. I don't know exactly what she would do, but the official spoilers are that she tampers with another prenatal test of Nicole's. So I do wonder exactly how this is going to go down, but it seems like the easiest way for her to tamper with the test is to do it before the test is run, to get somebody else to swab it, or she swabs it herself again. It would be very interesting if she swabbed it herself again and then that caused some really weird test results, or pointed to her carrying some kind of genetic marker that let her know that maybe her baby is in trouble. There's a lot of ways they could go with this story, and I'm pretty excited to see it. So the last big spoiler for Wednesday is about Chad DiMera and Stephanie Johnson. They are interrupted while they are enjoying an evening together. It seems like the odds are that it's Alex Kiriakis again, even though Stephanie just had a talk with him about not being a jerk and not pushing himself into their apartment and just being a nuisance and an obstacle. And remember, she had given him a hug after she chewed him out. She was like, look, we can be friends, but that's it. And then, of course, Chad walked in on the hug and he kind of freaked out. And then Stephanie had to calm him down too. Nonetheless, I still think it might actually be Alex. And this is why. So there's an undated spoiler for this week that says Alex tells Stephanie about a bad blind date he had. And remember, D.A. Trask is sitting at that little bar restaurant place, having a drink, waiting on her blind date, who's supposed to be wearing a blue blazer. And then Lee Shin walks in and she's like, not again. No, surely they wouldn't have given them the same date again. I think Lee has got a different blind date. I don't know who, but I do think that Alex is going to walk in because Alex was talking about trying to date. So if his date is D.A. Trask, that would explain why it is a disaster. They do not seem compatible at all. And the question is Chad going to tolerate him sitting there lamenting about his crappy love life? So all right, we're going to run back through everything just to give you a quick update. But if you haven't already, please click subscribe so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives update, news, and more. If you enjoyed this, we'd love it if you'd click that like button. Show us some love. All right, so to recap, we've got Chad and Stephanie. We've got Trask and her date. We've got Nicole and EJ. And we have Eric and Sloan action, plus Leo and Gwen. Let's see how messy this gets on Wednesday, July 26th on your favorite NBC Peacock streaming soap opera.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.